Let's talk a little bit about something we've discussed quite a bit over the last 3 to 4 months. I've been talking to you about the growing rift within the Republican Party, this sort of civil war, as we're calling it, which has mostly been Trump Republicans versus slightly less bonkers Republicans, people like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Mitt Romney, and some others. And I've also said before, the Republican Civil War is good for the left. The left should encourage it. Let's help along the Republican Civil War. Let's weaponize the Republican Civil War against them to any extent that we can. We now have a new participant in this Civil War who seems to be trying to play both sides. We've not seen this before. And I'm talking about Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw, who has put out very confused takes about socialism and different things. He seems smart enough to realize that he needs to figure out a way to play both sides on this Republican Civil War. He is actually hugely pro-Trump on policy, which is hilarious because it's like, what policy? But okay, during the Trump presidency, Crenshaw defended Trump's COVID policy. Totally abortive policy. Crenshaw defended it. Trump said he liked Trump's economic policy. Crenshaw said he liked Trump's economic policy. But he's not big on the theatrics. He's not big on the cartoonish nuttery of the right, or at least not as big. Well, Crenshaw spoke at the Texas Liberty Alliance, and he did something that's very interesting. He trashed the cartoonish pro-Trump people by saying they're grifters. They didn't actually vote with Trump as much as I did, I being Crenshaw. And it's sort of like treading water. So check out this clip and now understand that when Crenshaw talks about the Freedom Caucus, he's talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mo Brooks, Paul Gosar, Louis Gohmert, Jim Jordan, those types of kooky for Cocoa Puffs Republicans. Take a look.
Supporting these two. There's actually other veterans in Morgan's race. There's other front runners. But why support these two? Well, because I've been in Congress for almost 3 years now. There's two types of members of Congress. There's performance artists, and there's legislators. Now, the performance artists are the ones that get all the attention. They're the ones you think are more conservative because they know how to say slogans real well. They know how to recite the lines that they know that our voters want to hear. Let me tell you guys something. In the first 2 years of Trump's presidency, when Republicans were in control, when every single time we were voting on Donald Trump's agenda, who do you think was at the top of that list voting with Trump, and who do you think was at the bottom? A lot of names you would recognize were at the bottom of that list. A lot of names you would recognize are at the top of that list. Number two is probably going to make you cringe a little bit. It's Adam Kinzinger. Voted with Trump almost 99%. He was number two. You know who's at the bottom? Everybody in the Freedom Caucus. All of them. What you hear so often is not true. It's not true. We have grifters in our midst. Not here, not like in this room, that's not what I mean. I mean in the conservative movement. Lie after lie after lie because they know something psychologically about the conservative heart. We're worried about what people are going to do to us, what they're going to infringe upon us.
So that is super interesting. First of all, Crenshaw straight up says, these people, Greene and her ilk, these are performance artists and grifters. Okay, fair. So Crenshaw must be an anti-Trump Republican, right? Wrong. He is criticizing them as grifters because they perform and they do the theatrics, but at the end of the day, they are not actually pro-Trump enough in terms of how they vote. He says they should be more truly pro-Trump by actually supporting more of Trump's policies back while Donald Trump was president. And then he says, hey, you know who does? Adam Kinzinger. Kinzinger is good. So then you might say, if you've been following the way the battle lines have been drawn, you might say, wow, that's a big attack on the Trump people, because among Republicans, there's been no bigger critic of Trump than Adam Kinzinger, right? Well, no, not really, because Crenshaw is saying Kinzinger is good because he supports Trump more often than these Freedom Caucus people based on voting. So there's three takeaways here, and they're all important. Number one, Crenshaw is smart enough to recognize the rift. And he's sort of trying to play both sides for now because it's unclear what the future of the Republican Party is in 2022 and 2024. Is it a Trumpian Republican Party in the coming election year and in 2024, or is it not? So that's one thing that he's doing. Number two, the Civil War is real and it should be encouraged because this is exactly the type of confusion that can create factions where Republicans damage themselves, and we should welcome that. I mean, to the extent that the left is stinking it up, let's encourage the right to screw themselves if we can. And third, and this is really the key, and I've told you this before, the so-called anti-Trump Republicans, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, etc., they still mostly supported everything Trump did. They simply think Joe Biden won in 2020. These are not our friends. These are still Republican nuts who accept the election results. Liz Cheney accepts Trump did something wrong with Ukraine, but still voted with Trump almost all the time. And what's happened is that the bar has been so lowered that it can be tricky to remember these are still extremists, right? If Liz Cheney is basically Dick Cheney politically, we saw Dick Cheney accurately as a neocon kook when he was the vice president. Liz Cheney, more or less under the same Republican umbrella as Dick Cheney, now seems so much more reasonable because she said, Trump lost. The bar is so low that they say one or two things that are true, and we go, these are good people. These are not our friends. These are not our allies. And let's not get confused and believe that they are. We're going to have more on this, and you can send us your comments on our Instagram. Find us at David Pakman Show on Instagram. And if you want to see a really wacky hate mail I got yesterday, follow me on Instagram at david.pakman.
Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night helps you sleep. I can't sleep in a hot room. That's why I love our sponsor, Chili Sleep, which makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions to sleep better. Their flagship products are the Uller sleep system and the Cube sleep system, which is what I have. Both are hydro-powered, temperature-controlled luxury mattress pads. You can make them as cold as 55 degrees Fahrenheit. If you wanted, you could go as hot as 115 degrees. I like the cooler option. I keep mine at 60 degrees, and it gives me a great cool night of sleep. No feeling hot, no more sweating. I'm falling asleep faster, and it pairs perfectly with Chili Sleep's weighted chili blanket, which keeps you cold on top, too. Right now, Chili Sleep is running a special sale. You'll get 30% off everything when you go to chilisleep.com/Pakman. The link is right underneath this video.